The following show is brought to you by Capital Financial and Insurance. Coming up on the Financial Safari, Coach Pete sits down with former North Carolina Secretary of State and Attorney General Rufus Edmiston, followed by your local trusted advisor will help explain proper diversification. And later, Coach Pete talks with CPA and certified tax coach Jason Bailey about some tax-saving tips.
Hi, this is Coach Pete.
And hello, I'm Peter Rashan.
And if you've got questions about how to safely and properly allocate your investments, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Financial Safari.
Broadcasting from coast to coast, it's the Financial Safari with your host, Coach Pete D'Arruda. Coach Pete and his guests are some of the nation's top financial professionals. They make it their mission to guide investors through the treacherous jungle of the financial world, showing them how to grow, keep, and leave their money for their loved ones. Coach Pete is a frequent contributor to Fox Business Network, CNBC, The Wall Street Journal, and many other news outlets. They come to Coach Pete for their answers, and now so can you. So stick around and find out how to make it through the jungle of the financial world on the Financial Safari.
This is the Financial Safari. I'm Walter Storholt alongside Coach Pete D'Arruda, and it is time to make that complex financial world a little bit easier to understand again. And Coach, you know what? Many of our listeners each week express to us that they enjoy learning about the financial world, but they're sometimes too afraid to take action out of fear that the expert or the advisor that they choose to work with is going to steer them in the wrong direction. How do you help your clients overcome that fear?
Well, you know, this fear is legitimate, too, because it all comes back to the day, I think, when we used to go to the filling station, you'd go over that little indicator when you go in. It would go ding, ding. Remember that? When you go ding, ding. Your parents remember that, Walt, if you don't. And up come to the car would be the guy to clean your windshield, check your oil, and tell you what was wrong with the car. And many times mechanics basically gave that industry a bad name because they would invent problems and they would just be trying to make money. The same things happened in the financial world. So, and you know, many times people have to get their cars inspected. They need an oil change and they need to fill up because if you don't have gas in the gas tank, what happens? The car stops working.
The car stops, yeah.
So same thing in the financial world. We need to go through a checklist basically on the financial products you have, making sure that your income plan is filled up correctly, making sure that it's going to keep your financial engine running to and through retirement. And it's just vital that people get educated, and education is lacking these days in the financial world. That's why I wrote my new book, The 7 Baby Steps. And in the book, it tells folks easy to understand techniques and strategies that can get you to and through retirement with as little worry as possible. And that's what everyone wants, Walt, that I talk to. They want to know they can have some surety in their life, and they want to trust somebody. But again, misplaced trust is real bad these days because you read about it every week. You know, Bernie Madoff made the news, but it happens almost every single week or every single month. There's somebody out there pitching something, and your instincts tell you it's too good to be true because there's no guarantees or writing. Contracts, nothing in writing for you. And unfortunately, that's what happens way too much in the financial world.
I've seen the smiles on many of your clients' faces before. How did they get there? What do you do to earn their trust? And what are their feelings after they work with you and they get through and they get that true and full financial plan?
Well, we have a questionnaire we give everyone before they come in. And it goes over 20 questions, which are questions that people have asked before. And you need to ask yourself these questions. You know, the worst thing you can do is show up to a financial advisor and have them start telling you what to do instead of asking you what you want to do. We call it cookie cutter methods. And, you know, when you go to the same guy and he's giving every single person the same advice, that's not the advisor for you. You need to feel like someone's listening to you and they take what you're saying and put into a complex financial strategy and plan for you. That's most important in my opinion.
Great guidance and advice, Coach Pete. Folks, of course, you can reach your local trusted advisor with the Financial Safari team. All you have to do is visit financialsafari.com. That's a great way to get in touch with your advisor and to find out more about the financial world. Again, that's financialsafari.com. More with Coach Pete coming up here on the Financial Safari.
Former North Carolina Secretary of State and Attorney General Rufus Edmiston sits down with Coach Pete.
Well, today we have a very special guest. He's a buddy of mine. His name is Rufus Edmiston, and you may recognize that name. He's former Attorney General and Secretary of State of North Carolina. He even served papers on President Nixon in the Watergate fiasco. Rufus, welcome to the show.
Well, I'm very honored that you would come to my little humble abode that, by the way, has a subpoena that I served on Richard Nixon back in that room, which you've seen.
We're going to get a copy of that, and we'll show that.
Okay.
Rob and the producers will
Yeah.
film that before we leave here. So,
Well, I'm talking to the smartest man in the financial world that I know of anywhere, because how many books have you written?
5 books now.
And working on another one?
We're always working on, you know how it is, Rufus, you can't stop.
No, you can't. You can't. and the thing about your books, I shared some with some friends, is you don't leave out any steps. And you tell people that, okay, if you leave this step out, it doesn't work here.
Yep.
And it's plain, it's got English in it, subjects and verbs, that's why I like it, Coach.
Well, if you're working on a recipe in the kitchen and you forget to put the eggs in and it calls
Oh,
for 4
please.
eggs, it's not going to come out right. And so you skip a
Right.
step and it doesn't come out right. And Rufus, a lot of times you don't know until you go to take the cake out of the oven that you forgot the eggs. So it's down the road, and a lot of people make mistakes or they fall for dirty tricks, and it's not until deep into retirement when they realize they made mistakes. And to me, that's a bad point, because a lot of people are falling for dirty tricks out there in the financial
I
world.
like your checklist.
You got to have a
That's what the
checklist.
human mind works on, checklists. And I've seen your publications. Have you done this? Check it off, make it work. And one of the great things about your show is that you tell people practical advice about not getting ripped off. It's just amazing to me. And one thing, I'm going to ask you a question.
Sure.
How does an average person, Coach, who wants to hire an advisor? Now, we know the difference between you're a certified, licensed financial advisor. You've got a string of degrees there. I know the difference because I put into effect the law that said if you're going to call yourself a financial advisor, you've got to have very specific training, and you've got to register with the Secretary of State's
That's
office.
right. That's right.
But a person's trying to choose a person to help them with their money matters. And how do they find somebody that's not going to be putting them into things that feathers the nest of the so-called money advisor, and it's not really in the best interest of the client? I've known companies that sell you their stuff,
Yep.
and I don't find that generally to be very good business in the financial planning.
Well, a lot of times the big companies you see advertised, they're the worst salesmen out there because they're always pushing their products, their proprietary products. And
Right.
as an investment advisor, and I am a 65 license, which you put into effect in North Carolina, where
Right.
in order to call yourself an investment advisor, you had to be an investment advisor.
Yes.
And that means you're a fiduciary. And as an attorney, you're an attorney also, and as an attorney, you know that you have to be a fiduciary means you have to keep your needs behind the client's needs.
Right.
And unfortunately out there, we see it every day. We've put together something called an advice giver's manual. And so it's a step-by-step book. It's checklists in there and all sorts of things to ask the advisor and make them sign. You know, if they're recommending something, make them sign that there's no fees in there over and above what they've told you about. Make sure there's no commissions coming out of your money. And so we have everything in writing, because my wife is an attorney too, and she said a verbal contract is as good as the paper it's written on. So when someone
absolutely.
tells you there's no fees, doesn't mean there aren't. But if they put it in writing, you can always go back and sue them if you have to, I guess.
Well, how does somebody get a hold of that? Because that should be widespread, your checklist. How
Well,
do
we'll
they
put a
get that?
copy of that. They'll call the number on the screen here. We'll give them a copy, and it's a real good. It's got DVDs in there. It's got checklists. It's advice giver's manual. I need to get you a copy of it.
Oh, you certainly do.
You need to get Rufus a
See,
copy.
I am not a financial advisor because I didn't take the rigorous test. You did. But I am asked on so many occasions about all these things, and all I can do is say, get you somebody like Pete,
Yep.
the man that knows what he's doing. What's the biggest scam right now? What's with these flooded cars? What are you hearing? I know what I'm hearing.
Yeah, well, I'm hearing people buy a car that looks real good at a car lot, and they go to turn the heater or the air conditioner on after they leave the lot, and the lot says as is, no warranty, or once you drive off the lot, no more coming back in, and they turn the heater or the air conditioner on, and out comes mud.
Well, unfortunately, in North Carolina, and it's not the fault of DMV, you could have a car soaked up to the steering wheel with a flood damage, and it meets certain criteria. Can you crank it up? Can you put the brakes on? Can you roll the windows down? You can almost sell it, and you don't. Now, you could go after them under the False and Deceptive Trade Practice, our Consumer Protection Division. I think your wife knows something about that.
Yep, she works over there.
But why should you have to do that? I think there should be a federal law, because the flooding business is not intrastate. It's everywhere, and cars move all the time. There should be one standard of what is a flooded car. Beware, you're buying a flooded car.
It's funny, right after a flood, you see the highway, you see a lot of these trucks coming down south. They're coming from up north down south.
Yes.
They have this, like Hurricane Sandy was the last bad flood. And if you go out on Highway 95, there was a convoy of trucks coming down carrying flood damaged cars to North Carolina because, like you said, we don't have rules that are good enough, not the fault of the current people here, but we need to look at that and see what's going on. It's something that I think if everyone would complain to the legislature, I think something would get done.
Oh, absolutely, I will.
Yeah, you know, it's like the screaming baby in the room. No one does a thing to the baby until it starts to scream, and then everyone stops what they're doing, make sure the diaper gets changed or the bottle gets given to it.
Well, that's fundamentally dishonest to sell a flooded car.
Yep. But the scam that I've seen is 3 times in the last year I've had a credit card stolen. Now, I still have the credit card in my wallet, but somebody's out there stealing credit card numbers, and they're calling the banks, and they're forging their way into your account. So I've had to have 3 times where fraud divisions of credit card companies have called me to see if I've been making charges over in Saudi Arabia or overseas somewhere. And of course, I haven't left the country.
Oh, Coach, I know we're running out of time, but do you see the economy improving any? Because that's how you make money, to get people to spend money.
I think that people need to learn, we hear of macro and microeconomics. Take care of yourself first and the economy will follow. In other words, make sure that you do all you can in your own household and stop trying to depend on other people, and you'll be a lot better. And in my book, and I've got a copy right here, The 7 Financial Baby Steps, I show people step by step how they can at least get going in the right direction. Rufus and I signed this copy for you.
Oh, wonderful.
And I really thank you for your time today, as always, and we're going to have you again on the radio show soon, too.
I'm very honored.
Okay. Folks, Rufus Edmiston, former Attorney General, Secretary of State, and all-around great guy here in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Still to come on the Financial Safari, your local trusted advisor helps explain what true diversification is. And later, Coach Pete continues his conversation with former North Carolina Secretary of State and Attorney General Rufus Edmiston. And now, Coach Pete has a special offer just for you.
Folks, the financial world is complex enough without you trying to do it yourself. So if you call in the next 30 minutes and mention you saw me on the show, mention the code COACH33. And if you do that, at no cost or obligation, we'll supply for you your very own customized income plan. We'll also do a tax analysis to make sure you're not overpaying on taxes. Again, that income plan to make sure you have the proper amount of income coming in for life, for not only you, but your spouse as well. We'll put together a succession plan, too. What happens when you're not here anymore? So the tax, income, and a true financial plan with succession will all be yours at no cost or obligation if you call the number on your screen within the next 30 minutes and mention COACH33. You'll also get a copy of my newest book, 7 Financial Baby Steps. Look forward to seeing you soon. So I'm here with Jason Bailey, who's a CPA. He's a certified tax coach just like I am. And Jason, how you doing today?
Doing well, thank you.
Now, let's tell the viewer what a certified tax coach is. You know, a lot of people have a CPA and they think they're totally set. Maybe they go down each year and give the CPA all the different stuff they spent money on for the year, and then the CPA does the tax return. Just hands them the return and says, see you next year. Is that the right approach for taxes usually?
No. As a certified tax coach, there are only about 300 in the nation. Majority are CPAs. However, this is more of a specialty designation, and it's more of a mindset as well. So a certified tax coach is more proactive on the tax planning side. Tax preparation is just a historical recording of, like you said, those deductions that they're bringing in.
And with the tax code being over 80,000 pages long now, there are some benefits in there that people don't even see, correct?
That's right. So you take the tax code from a certified tax coach's point of view. You're going to take the tax code and you're going to peel it back, and you're going to look at what you're doing currently in your life and see if there's anything applicable in the tax code that could become a potential deduction for you.
Now, who that's watching now can really benefit from a meeting with a certified tax coach, and is there a charge for that first meeting?
Yeah, so we have a couple buckets of people, whether you're business owners, real estate investors, a sole proprietor, Schedule C. Those are primarily the buckets of people that can really benefit because you typically pay more taxes and there's more advantages in the tax code for you.
Okay.
And then when they come in, they do get a mini tax planning session, as I call it, 30 minutes. You come in and you're able to sit down with myself and we review your tax returns. I also have a questionnaire that you would fill out as well, and we go through a mini tax planning session. I start identifying strategies and potential savings for you.
And there's no cost for that mini tax meeting, correct?
That is free. That's
okay.
free.
And there are a lot of secrets of a tax-free life people don't even pay attention to or don't know about.
That's correct, yeah. There's many things, everything from your medical expenses, education expenses, retirement expenses. If you own a building, there's special strategies in there in the code for deduction, accelerated depreciation, those type of things.
Now, with about 300 tax coaches nationwide, certified tax coaches, which I'm one as well,
Yes.
share with the viewer what the average savings per tax coach client that people get these days. What can they save by meeting with a tax coach on their tax return year after year, Jason?
Yes, it's right around $15,000 year after year. And that's just by you meeting, we do the mini tax plan session, but then I write an actual customized, personalized tax plan for you. Within there is the strategies that will save you on average about $15,000.
Now that's $15,000 more than they were already saving, right? It's not
That's
just
correct.
say, here's what
No.
you were saving and I saved you another 1,000, so now we're
Right.
up to 15. No,
No,
it's 15,000 of
yep.
new savings on average. Now,
Yep.
not everyone's going to be the right fit.
Right.
Usually, I know we've told people that you have to have at least $100,000 of income for it to really make sense to meet with a certified tax coach.
Right.
You're also a CPA, though, so you do tax returns if someone wants a new CPA or they don't feel their CPA is being proactive. In other words, not looking at the tax code and using what's in there to benefit you. It may be time to call a certified tax coach, at least sit down for that no-cost meeting.
Yeah, exactly. So after the tax plan, I do offer those other services. I package it in a service plan type scenario where you're going to get your tax prep for the year, but you also get ongoing tax advisory services, as well as you'll get a newsletter and some tax alerts. You know, tax code's always changing, so you'll be notified, hey, this is going to affect you, give me a call.
If people call right now, Jason, you'll give them that 30-minute mini session at no cost. I've also got 10 of these books right here, Secrets of a
That's a good book.
Tax-Free Life. This is a tremendous
Yes.
manual on how to save on taxes. We'll give them a copy of this as well. How's
Yeah,
that?
that's great.
Okay, folks, another Coffee with Coach.
Thank you.
When a new potential client comes into your office and presents to you their current plan, which consists of a variety of stocks and a bunch of mutual funds, do you consider this true diversification?
Well, Coach, that's a great question, and it's one that I hear commonly. If you have a portfolio with a wide range of stocks, you do have exposure to a number of different companies which could appreciate or could depreciate independently, but they are still all in that risk basket asset class. And likewise with mutual funds, you can have a variety that you have in your portfolio, but especially inside mutual funds, some of the individual stocks that those mutual funds are invested in could be duplicated across several mutual funds, and therefore you could be duplicating and increasing your risk exposure. So no, just by having different stocks or different mutual funds in a basket does not mean it's truly diversified, because you're not achieving all of the different financial goals of growth, safety, and liquidity. When you talk about diversification, your money can do one of those three things for you, and in your total portfolio, you want it to do all three of those things effectively.
So what are some of the asset classes that are currently being ignored by many advisors that could help their clients out through retirement?
Well, Coach Pete, a lot of times the asset classes that I see ignored the most are insurance. And insurance is an asset class that won't get you rich, but it certainly can keep you rich. And it can keep you from going broke very quickly as well. So insurance is a protection for all of your other assets. Likewise, cash is often ignored by brokers or advisors simply because there's no incentive for them to really look at your cash on hand. They're not making too much money off of it. And likewise, real estate. estate. Many brokers or advisors completely ignore real estate when they're looking at your total portfolio, and that can play a big part of a complete portfolio review. And again, Coach Pete, that is what we offer for your viewers. If they would like to give us a call at the number on the screen, we do offer that forensic financial analysis and complete portfolio review, where we will help them analyze all of their investments, savings vehicles, and make sure that they are not over or underexposed to a particular asset class, making sure that they are achieving growth, safety, and liquidity. That review is a $299 value typically. We will extend that offer to your viewers, Coach Pete, on a completely complimentary basis, and they will also go home with a very illustrative booklet that shows and details how they can analyze their own investments and savings vehicles more accurately, giving them a better understanding of their true diversification.
And as always, thank you very much for your time and consideration this week.
Well, Coach Pete, it's always a pleasure, and thank you for the opportunity. We always enjoy being here.
Talk to one of our local experts, and we have a special offer for you on today's show. Call in the next 30 minutes, and we're going to custom design for you an easy-to-understand financial review that will indicate if you're in need of a full-blown financial plan. There's no obligation or cost for this initial review for all callers who have at least $200,000 saved for retirement. If you meet those qualifications, here's what you can expect. First, we'll run a fee report to help you untangle what it's costing you to work with your current planner or advisor. We'll show you how to protect your investments and keep more of your money in your accounts. Next, we'll perform a tax analysis to show you how you could possibly be reducing your taxes and increase your cash flow. And finally, we'll create a customized lifetime income plan using proven strategies and techniques that could turbocharge your retirement income. In short, we'll take the guesswork out of financial planning for you. So, for all callers who call in the next 30 minutes, a comprehensive financial review that we're offering with no obligation. Just call the number below right now. Coming up on the Financial Safari, Coach Pete continues his conversation with former North Carolina Secretary of State and Attorney General Rufus Edmiston, and a special message from Coach Pete. And we're back with former North Carolina Secretary of State and Attorney General Rufus Edmiston sits down with Coach Pete.
And we're here with Rufus Edmiston, former Attorney General and Secretary of State of North Carolina, and also about 40 years ago, he was the one who served the papers on President Nixon, the Watergate papers. Rufus, it's just like yesterday, isn't it?
Oh my goodness, I cannot believe 40 years. What in the world's happened? Why didn't I straighten up and do better than I've done?
Time flies.
But beginning in May of this year, by the way, Coach, the NC Museum of History is going to do a year-long retrospective on North Carolina and Watergate, meaning Sam Ervin and all the people that worked with me, a lot of folks around this area here, prominent attorney Gene Boyce and others, they worked there. And we invite the public to come to this because there's going to be some really nice things over there at the Museum of History. But 40 years ago, I cannot believe the committee voted to issue a subpoena on President Nixon for the White House tapes. Well, that had never been done before. No committee of Congress. And I might say that I probably sort of finagled my way into doing that, getting to do that. And so I remember going down to the White House at a police convoy, and I got down there, and there must have been 200 press people poking all these things in my face. And I didn't serve it on the president, but his people. And that day, Coach, I had a little Constitution in my back pocket, like Irvin used to carry, a little blue one.
Yep.
And I got real smarty-pantsy. And I've never told this before on TV or radio, but I wheeled that thing out of my back pocket and I said, you guys might need one of these too, the Constitution. So it was quite a day.
Now, how did you said you finagled your way into doing that. How did you get to be the one to serve the papers?
Well, I was the deputy chief counsel, and I said, Senator Irvin, I'd like to do that. He said, okay. So everybody was sort of wanting to do that because we knew this was a very, very momentous occasion. You could feel it. It's hard for your younger group like you and your technicians here to understand that back in those days, Coach, we didn't have email.
Yeah.
We had none of that stuff. Telegrams, we would get 40,000 pieces of mail or telegrams a week.
Wow.
And people watched the thing from daylight till, well, the gavel went down, and they watched it till it ended. It knocked off all the soap operas, and most of the letters that we got were saying, "Where's my soap opera? We're tired of this."
Well, and to Rob, I'm 46, but Rob, our producer's in his 20s, and so is Paul. They're in their 20s. To them, 40 years ago, we had the Pony Express, and people were sending messages with the Morse code or something like that.
It's like me thinking of World War I. Absolutely.
So times have really changed, and I can still remember when I was in college. I went to University of North Carolina. I think you did as well.
Yes.
And we didn't have computers to do our papers back then. We had to type.
Heavens no! And you had a TV room, one room.
I remember the TV room, and
right.
we also kept the whiteout company in business because I was a horrible typist. I never learned how to type, so I was one finger at a time and messing up every other one. So, I mean, times have really changed, but they've remained the same in a way. The people are still scammed out there. People still need help. And it's just, the more times change, the more they remain the same, don't they?
I think, Coach, the internet has made it easier to scam people. And I have these people that come and really believe that those Nigerians are holding money for them. and I had a guy the other day who owns a local down east grocery store. He came and he said, "Look, I'm supposed to take so much money to Washington." I said, "You sit down right here." I said, "You're about to lose $50,000 immediately. Tear that telegram up." This was a telegram, this email, and it is amazing to me that people get into those situations. None of this stuff comes free. There's a catch.
Yep.
And how many times we say, if it sounds too good to be true, it's not true. Well, people don't believe that.
Absolutely.
And they used to get mad at me when I was Attorney General. When I would close down some scam, some fraud, I would have people say, "You have ruined my chance to become wealthy and have a good, easy life." I said, "No, I've saved you from losing your money." And I know what it is about the human nature. You got to calm your greed about money matters.
There's a certain part of the population that always believe these, and that's why the scams stay alive.
Yeah.
And, it's my opinion on the internet, you trust but verify. I think Ronald Reagan said that a long time ago. You can trust things on the internet if you want, but you need to verify it, and usually that's with somebody else.
Yes.
And sometimes it takes a second set of eyeballs and some common sense to sit down and talk it out before you send money or do anything on the internet these days.
Well, Coach, I've learned that there's a certain kind of psychological person who gets into all these scams, one scam after another.
Yep.
And I don't know what you do with them.
Folks, his name is Rufus Edmiston, and he's a great friend of ours, and we look forward to having him on the show again in the future. Rufus, thanks for coming.
Great, Coach.
Well, folks, we've come to the end of another show. I still don't know where all the time goes. Special shout out and thank you to Mr. Rufus Edmiston, our former Attorney General and Secretary of State here in North Carolina. And special thank you again to Jason Bailey, CPA, for giving us some great tax tips. And if you'd like more information about how you can have your true financial situation set up for you, minimizing taxes and maximizing income, give us a call. Look forward to seeing you next week on the Financial Safari.